but we've borrowed her. So if there's anything like that. Well, let me say good morning to all of you. Bruce Foko, great morning to you as well. Already sending us messages, so we'll be reading the messages on the subject matter. And today we have two issues to take a look at. You would know that the Attorney General, or the Office of the Attorney General, say that they're now discontinuing the case involving a former Chief Executive for Cocoa Board, Dr. Opuni, as well as a number of others, including Seydou Agongo, and it's on some other related matters in relation to supply of fertilizers, their efficacy, and whether the right standards were followed through. And you know that one of the cases that seem to have traveled the long haul, 8 years. But you know, so we're going to take a look. What really are the thoughts on it by our panelists this morning? And then, since the appointments committee began, it's been full of drama, episodes of drama. So a lot of episodes of drama, a lot of opinion about whether the chair, the distinguished legal practitioner, member of parliament for Akachi South, Bernard Ahiafo, has warmed himself into the role, or he is his own man, or his style. Of course, he's been juxtaposed to other past chairs of the appointments committee as well. Just the recent one, Joe Seusu, member of parliament for Bekwai at the time. And so I have some great people to help us do some great discussions. And I hope that you'll be joining us and you share the stream. Let me say good morning to a number of you who have joined us already. Money Ni Money, please share the stream. All of you who have joined us across the stream also, let's know what you think. I have joining us Dr. Aye. He goes by the first name Samuel. Sammy, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, by God's grace. We are managing. Good morning to our viewers, and good morning to your good self.
You're medical?
Yes.
Practicing, right?
Yes.
Clinically?
Yes.
Okay. And then also, Asita Closing, it's been a while I've seen him. Usually will comment on legal matters and other issues of politics when he has the time and wants to. But he's joined us, a legal practitioner, Bernard Donko. Good morning to you. Good morning, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've been away for some time.
Your skin is fairer. I hope you didn't go to a desert land. If it's a temperate region, that's fine. It was a temperate region.
Yeah,
that's
fine.
I'm
back.
Okay. And then also our great friend, I say that I didn't know that he existed in terms of communicating, talking on politics, entrepreneurship. He's a businessman, also a politician. Decided to break away from the MPP. I always tell him, Charlie, go back to the MPP. We have two parties in Ghana, MPP and NDC. So, and Solomon Owusu. He said, Solomon, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Great.
Happy New Year. I've not met you this year.
Yes. Happy New Year to you as well. All right, Chairman Prosper, wherever you find yourself, please, Happy New Year to you as well, and great work you tend to do. And Chairman Godwin Tamaklo, Rate Group Chief Executive as well. And then Osei Bonsu, who owns the Daland Group of companies right here in Ghana. I wish you all the best for the day. But these are some of the vex issues. So we'll bring you an insert from Parliament, and then you get to know at least snipers, and then we'll come back and do the main discussions as they are.
Grilling you does not mean that when you get there and you are supposed to give protocol allocation, you deny me. I'm telling you, you cannot, because yes, there is, and committee members benefited. Yes, there is something like that. When I was a defense committee member, your ranking, your members benefited. I am saying it on authority. They did. They even had more than with the MPP members. They did. I'm not. That's a fact. Kennedy Japan was a chair of the Defense and Interior Committee. They benefited. So I'm telling you that when you are giving, don't think that because I grilled you, you will not allocate. Honorable, you will. Point 1 on your CV. You have told this honorable committee that you worked between 2019 to November 2022. In fact, for the 2019, you did not provide us which month you started working with AFRA. Would you be able to provide us with the month you started working?
I'll check it
Very well. That's fair. Now, in this employment, were you given a letter of appointment? Were you given a letter where your conditions of service were spelled out? Were you?
I was given a letter of appointment, and let me capture the context very well for you. It was a very teething hospital that I had to provide my service to support them to stand on their feet. And so, even at the initial stage, it was subsequently that the payments commenced. But I was okay because it was a service that I was rendering. It helped me also to sharpen my skills, not to go stale, while still serving my party. So yes, there was
a commencement.
Therefore, First Deputy Speaker of Ghana's Parliament and the Chairman of the Vetting Committee wants to place it on record that myself and the committee members do not demand money from any nominee before vetting and approval. I would therefore direct the clerk of the committee to invite Oliver Baker Vomao.
That's Bernard Anyafo, legal practitioner, also member of parliament. He chairs that committee, the appointment committee, and Samia, I don't know whether on the corridors of power, the presidency, and then also the grassroots of the party. You're a grassroots man, and you interact with a lot of young people as well as people who maybe are holding positions at the grassroots level, either is a ward or a polling station. Your branch ward, and all that. Okay, what's the perception about the committee, how it's been chaired by Bernard Anyafo, how Apenyo Markin as the main man for the minority, also standing as a minority leader as well, and then also even the membership, the way they ask questions, whether from the MPP side or the NDC side?
Yes, thank you very much. I think that for me, generally, the vetting has been okay. It has been good. You do not expect the MPP side of the vetting to allow the nominees to go without, I mean, sometimes pushing them to the wall to know exactly what extent they can go. You know that public service, it's not easy. You are dealing with a huge chunk of people with different temperaments, with different social status, with different creed, different beliefs and religion. And so you must be examined and vetted in a way and manner that we will all know whether or not you are capable for that position. And so I don't have any problem at all. And I think that the nominees themselves have been very fantastic, very, very spectacular. I am happy about the kind of answers and, I mean, how deep the nominees are, how knowledgeable the nominees are. Yesterday, I listened to Dr. Ido Domane Boama, and I was extremely happy. This is a medical doctor of good standing who showed why he was appointed as a defense minister. In fact, his knowledge about the sector he's going to help is one that is admirable. The NDC base certainly will have misgivings about the conduct of the ranking member and all that, but that is Afenyo. It is Afenyo. That is how he wants to conduct himself. You understand the point I'm making? And I personally do not have any issue with the chairman of the committee. This is how he also works. And you see, he's working in a manner that you see that he's combining a lot of patience, tolerance, and good leadership in discharging his duties. Of course, there are people who have disagreement with the way and manner he's allowing the Honorable Afenyo Markin to, you know, other people believe that Honorable Afenyo Markin is actually the chair because he is taking over. But I think that the man
You mean Bernard Ahiafo?
Yes, he's doing.
Is that a concern among the rank and file? And because in the public space it is. You go onto social media, whether it's on Twitter, which is now X.
Yes,
or even Facebook.
Yes, that is.
And then even on WhatsApp platforms.
Yeah, that's the.
You tend to get the sense.
Oh yes, of course. There's no doubt. People have the right to express their views on exactly how they want it to go, because we saw how it was under the MPP. And so this is a sharp departure from the norm, especially when the MPP had overwhelming majority, and even when it was 137, 137, when it was a hung parliament. But I think that the Honorable Bernard Ahiafo is combining a lot of, experience, tolerance to deal with a man who really has nothing to lose. This is a man that is leading a minority group of about 80-something. You understand the point? He really has nothing to lose. He just wants to stage, an appearance. You understand the point? So, but, I mean, in my view, I think that it's okay. The most important is that at the end of the day, the nominees are approved. And the nominees have been approved. You understand the point? I mean, so personally, I am okay with the process. Everyone has their own rights of, appreciating the issues. Personally, I think I'm okay.
Mr. Redudonko, what do you make of this?
To tell you the truth,
is the chair being too loyally or?
No, he's rather overly indulgent. I mean, overly indulgent. Yeah.
He's rather overly indulgent.
Yes, being overly indulgent because he allows so many things. I mean, look at the situation of Soini, for instance. If the chair had set some precedent that he's actually in control, that situation wouldn't have even arisen, because there is a ranking member speaking and Soini is trying to cut him and making gestures. But to tell you what, overall, I've not been too impressed about the vetting.
Why?
I'll tell you the reason. You see, if you look at the governance architecture of this country, the minister is sort of a superintendent. He's the head of a sector, which in itself is very structured, because you have directors at the ministries, we have chief directors. So when somebody is appointed to head there, apart from probably the position of the Attorney General and maybe the Finance Ministry, you don't need so much of the industry knowledge there. What you need is, for me, two things, basically. Your personal attributes as a person and your track record, your past performances, because you are not going to take decisions all by yourselves. You have technical people there to assist you. You have very experts there to assist you. So it is your personality, your personal attributes, and your past records that will be of significance. So, for instance, Muntaka appeared. He's been a former minister, I think, sports. He had a past record. What did he do there? What were some of the things the staff didn't like? These are the things that should come up for interrogation, because he's not going to the interior ministry where there's his personal knowledge alone. He will be supported by very able people who have the knowledge in the field and all that. Omani Boama is going to defense. And they were asking him about what he would do in certain situations, about deploring and all those. It is not necessary. What was his track record at the Ministry of Communication?
When he was the minister the first time? Yeah. You think that should have been?
Yes, everybody's past record, your personal attribute. So, for instance, somebody comes to the vetting committee and his CV is all over the place, and such a person is going to head a sector. It should tell you about his personal attributes, his attention to details and all. How he takes certain things, because you see, the point is that it is not so much of your knowledge that is required at the ministry, apart from the Attorney General, who is, of course, the principal legal advisor to government. So for him, he should be well versed in matters of law. But if you are going to the Ministry of Defense, just as Omani Boama is going, he's a doctor. We don't know of any military background of his. He could read around, he could seek information, but trust me, he won't be the best person taking technical decisions. He will only superintend over the meetings of the very people who have knowledge in such. So such a person, what is his temperament? When he was at the communication, what are the staff saying about him? Muntaka, we all heard of the issues when he was sports minister. Let's bring that up. Let's interrogate it, so we know the kind of person. Is he a changed person? If such situation arise again, what is he going to do? That is what I think we should do. So for me, it should be reduced to just two things: the personal attributes of the person, as well as his past records and performances. Because he's not going to there as the master of the knowledge of the area. Omani Boama, I said, Muntaka is an Greek person and is going to interior. So definitely... You
mean by academic?
Yes, personal knowledge. Yes, knowledge. You could read around and seek some knowledge in the field you are going to. But it should be reduced to who you are. because you are going to implement policies by on behalf of the president. Policies in your manifesto, policies probably by the National Development Council or something like that. So who are you in terms of implementing policies? What is your track record? We need to know that, because if you ask me questions, that will let me talk about the 14th of my 41 siblings. What has that got to do with me going to occupy a ministerial position? Or if I am an Ashanti, or I see myself as a Northerner or as a national, what has that got to do with my performance? What has that got to do with anything? So for me, I think that I've not been impressed because there have been too many unnecessary questions, and they don't really help us interrogate the people we are giving them, or we are entrusting such positions into their hands. We need to. So I was thinking that the sports Chinchinga issue was a big deal when Muntaka was the sports minister. Let's bring it up. Let's interrogate it. Let's see, has he learned anything going to a more, if I would say, a critical sector like interior? Somebody comes to the vetting and they are correcting his CV. You are coming to be vetted as a minister. You never had time, you never thought that your CV is so crucial and important to the vetting to correct the mistakes. And you want us to trust you with huge positions to make decisions on behalf of the state. So for me, I've not been impressed because the questions have been, a bit superficial, if you should ask me, honestly.
Now, if that is very important in terms of the person's personal attribute, the ability to be able to supervise, get the best out of a talent pool of people, to be able to manage.
A very structured area.
And then more strategic in decision making. Yes. It also means that the disposition of the questioners, who are the members of parliament, who have been appointed onto the appointment committee, also should be called into question.
Of course, that is why I said I haven't been too much impressed, because it is the questions that will elicit their responses. So for me, so I take on Manebama's issue. So my brother was all about how he answered the questions well and all that. Let me tell you this. He has answered those questions, but when he is actively engaged in office, he won't be taking those decisions all by himself. It is his personal attributes like good judgments, good use of discretion, that is going to help him as a minister, not when situation arises. Because people are not even situational sensitive. Because he has said he would do this, but when the situation arises, because of probably situational sensitivity, he will do a different thing. So the questions should go to all this. Let's get who the person is, because it is not his knowledge that is so much important in the sector. It is his attributes and, for me, his past performances, whether in private life or in past ministries. Amabua at the time was at the Energy. He has been vetted for land resources. What are the staff saying when he was at the Ministry of Energy? What was it that he did they didn't like? What was it that he did that they liked? Go there, ask questions. Even if it is possible, get some of them to come to the vetting that when you were with the Ministry of Energy, when you were with the Ministry of Sports, this and this and these are whatever, what are some of the things you did. And we didn't like it this way. So are you going to, when such a situation arises, what are you going to do? So that we get to know the personal attributes of the person.
What about those who haven't occupied public office before?
They have private businesses and private
capacities in which they've
yes, even we should go down. We could have gone down. Probably even their school days. Their school days, we need to know them. See, we need to be serious with this vetting thing. Let Ghanaians know the people they are entrusting power into. Let us assess them by their personal attributes and their track records, and not just by going to read about. So for instance, if you take Aruna Jirisu and the man going to roads, as it governs Abuja, it's now about figures. He says the road sector owes this amount of money. MPP has come out to debunk it. Aruna talks about the cost of the free essay. What has that got to do with somebody we taking to supervise a ministry? If you told me that the amount we owe is 2 cedis and 1 cedi, what has it got to do with Aruna when he was employment minister? What has it got to do with Aruna when he was trade? What was his positive as a trade minister? What were his negatives? Let's bring that to the light and interrogate him. If he's a changed person or he's the same person we are taking there. So today Muntaka goes to the Interior Ministry and there's another Chichinga saga. What happens? Because we didn't get the opportunity to interrogate him, to let him know whether he's learned anything from those processes. That is vetting for me. Are you going to recruit police? Afenyo asking somebody to sing Yedeo Shirikwa. You know, yes, I mean, we should be serious as a nation.
He asked somebody to sing what?
Yedeo Shirikwa.
Yedeo Shirikwa.
Yes, he asked somebody about
that Lumbe song.
That Lumbe song.
All right, we have Dr. Jonathan Asante-Ocho is a regular right here on our regular program, not only New Day, the key points, and then as well helped us extensively, Election Command Center, and then also all the things we did. He's joining us on stream. He's a political analyst, also lectures at the University of Cape Coast. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us as well. Command Center. Okay. You're listening to yourself.
Good morning.
Okay, great. I'm just introducing you, so just stand by. But, Solo, what do you make of all this? You know, you look at the chart progressively, whether somebody spends 4 hours, 6 hours. I think the longest Buhari is over 6 hours. Governor Abuja spent over 6 hours. Somebody spent over 4 hours. I'm told that as for MP and us, that's MP and us, that will be Samuel Kujito. He'll spend 12 hours. It's a period of retribution. But the reality is that Greater Accra Regional Minister designate, for example, spends just after 6 minutes is told to go. But you take a look at the disposition of the chair and then also the position of some individuals on the committee. It's as if they are in to either say, I want to show you that our numbers are small, but we are big, in quotes. Should that be the disposition you think?
It shouldn't be the position, but unfortunately that is the position. And mind you, it's also politics. Vetting committee is used as an avenue. If you go back to the days of Bagbin, when he was the minority leader, Bagbin used it to propel the NDC into the limelight. And Haruna Idris also did. So I don't have any difficulty with what Afenyo is doing. He's doing the job. And I also disagree with those that think that Ahiafo is not behaving well. That is his nature.
I don't understand.
Because, I mean...
What, he allows everything?
What is wrong with that? Give them the opportunity to ask whatever they want to ask. Except that the quality of delivery, the quality of the questions coming out is nothing to write home about. And mind you, the appointment committees must note that if these appointees are confirmed and they go to the various ministries and do not perform, they will take themselves out of it. Because you have given them an overwhelming endorsement. By your actions and inactions, what you are telling the people of this country is that we know them, they are so good, they would deliver. So if they go and they do not deliver, how do you expect us to even trust your integrity? Linda Obenewa Oklu goes to salon, dresses, irons a shirt, brings an entourage, chiefs, former ministers, and so on and so forth, goes to sit there as a regional minister nominee who is going to be the chair of the coordinating council. And you know
of Greater Accra, the capital city's region.
The committee members tells us that if Linda had come to all of us in Greater Accra, all of us would not have gotten any question for her. That is what the committee members are telling us. You see, this business of playing, being playful, it's not a joke. It's a serious business.
You mean Ghana is at a crossroads, and so we need to be serious?
It's a joke that the woman goes to sit there. All that she did was to praise the president and the vice and the NDC, and after that, she's discharged. She doesn't talk about the filth in Accra. She does not talk about her past lives. She does not talk about the plans ahead, and so on and so forth. She's left off the hook. And afterwards, she was jubilating everywhere. Hey, this country is an interesting one. When this region is faced with a lot of problems, then we must see some level of assurance. Look, your delivery alone can assure investors that we have a serious candidate or a serious minister at post. You live there, how do I judge her?
You mean even like the way a mayor of Los Angeles
Absolutely.
or London, for example?
But, I mean, the vetting is not for the vetting committee members alone. They are representing us. You are a member of parliament because some people in this country from a constituency voted for you to go and represent them. You are not representing yourself. And people must not reduce this whole exercise into a personal banter. So you allow Linda Obenewa Oklu to go without answering any question. Why would people not have that perception that, hey, you people are as it were, dilly-dally with some money stuffs. Your actions and inactions is what is feeding into the narrative in the public space that the vetting committee always and always do underhand dealings. And when someone says that, would that person be wrong?
Well, it is wrong when you have no evidence.
But why would someone look at the dress, beautifully dressed in blue attire?
Look at the people falsely.
Look at how people are put on their kente and fugu. They spend more than 30 minutes to go there, only for this lady to spend 6 minutes, and they were clapping for her. My taxpayers' money? Aye, that is not good enough. That is not good enough. You see, people in this country must begin to take themselves serious. And you see, there is also another aspect that I get worried anytime I see. Why? If I am invited to TV3 for a job interview, do I come with my head, the head of my family? Do I come with my pastor?
You think all that is unnecessary?
It's all unnecessary.
Then to write the chiefs?
The last time the local government ministerial nominee, what's the name? Ahmed, finished his, what's the name? Vetting. I met someone who was as in Kentucky. That man is never a chief. I know him very well. He is an ordinary man that went and rented some clothes and came to the vetting committee under the pretext that he was a chief. I saw him at the class post. I said, hey, no more. So you also went there? It's about you to everything. Would you say it? As I would say it. You had no business whatsoever going to the vetting committee. In any case, when a question is asked the nominee, would you help the nominee in answering it? If you cannot answer the question for the nominee, what is your business going there? We cannot be doing this to ourselves. They must stop it immediately. They are looking for jobs. These people are going for an interview to be employed to work for this country. That is the basis or the beginning of corruption. All the people that follow these nominees, they are the people that will go and worry these ministers. Give me this contract. Give me that. Do that. We must stop it.
I agree.
We must stop it immediately. They don't add anything. Yesterday I was having a banter with one of my friends. I don't want to mention his name. That what was his business going to the vetting committee? To listen to what? That is how come you have a lady called Emefa Hardcastles. Call someone silly. I just look at my dictionary and silly is foolish. Is that another phrase? So foolish. What was the lady's business at the vetting committee? Was her sector minister being interviewed or vetted? For Christ's sake, that was the Minister of Defense being vetted. I don't remember the last time the Petroleum Commission came under the Defense Ministry. At best, if it was the Energy Minister being vetted, she could have been there. After all, that is the sector minister. You see, we must not be entertaining somebody. Their work is so appalling. I understand Oliver is going there this morning. Is that the case? On bribery allegations?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We are going to talk about that.
We'll,
it's very dear to my heart.
We'll talk about making spurious and unspurious allegations because there are precedents of events that have been made. You know that Wache Jakon, there was an incident for it. No evidence. No evidence.
No, but why didn't
the finance minister
who pays bribe and takes evidence anywhere? This country, you pay bribe. We always accuse the police of taking bribe.
So
have you ever seen any receipt on bribe in this country?
I don't understand.
Do people give issue out?
Solo, relax. You're on heat. Please bring him some coffee.
I'll bring beer.
Okay, so Jonathan Santiotri, as a political analyst, Dr. Santiotri, you take a look at all that has transpired. Now, the comment even on the floor as of now, I'm talking about this very floor, the New Day floor, the first round of it, there's every indication that the expectations from those who are questioning, members of the committee, the supervision or the chairing of the proceeding in itself seem to be giving an opportunity for perhaps the wrong persons to be posed to the candidates who ideally should be asking or should be answering those sort of questions that could impress ordinary Ghanaians. Do you get the same observation?
Roland, can you simplify your question?
I'm saying that, for example, the aggregated view here is that some of the questions are necessary, simply, and that the candidates are there, they should be asked questions that will enable us as Ghanaians, who they will be representing, to know how strategic they will be, how they'll be able to implement so and so policies, and what they've done from their own experiences, either work, etc., that will have a bearing on what they will do. Do you get the same observation?
Yeah. Let me say good morning to your good self and to Solomon and other colleagues in the studio and to our viewers as well. Before I provide a response to that question, I have two issues that I think Ghanaians ought to know. The first one is that I am reliably informed by a resident of a place in the Western region called Anya. The person happens to be one of my Bushapain. And Anya, if you go into Nkrofo, it is deeper in there. And there is some Chinese, Ghanaian, galamsey taking place there. I'm told that the police went there to, as it were, chase them away. They are back as we are speaking now. So probably those who are in charge now will have to, as it were, make it a point of urgency to be there once again to dislodge them, because they are complaining about their water. They are not getting water to drink as we speak now. Now, the second issue that is of social importance is our own school, Wesley Girls, which is close to where I stay. Wesley Girls, they have been incinerating their refuse, open incineration of their refuse. That the smoke has been billowing into our homes. And I'm taking this opportunity to report them because the residents around have been complaining they seem not to bother. And since it's a state institution, they will have to find a proper means of incinerating their refuse, the refuse of the students over there. Okay. Probably if they don't do so, then probably some kind of report. You mean
the Wesley Girls High School? They've been burning. Yes, Wesley Girls High School. They've been burning refuse or rubbish, plain language, Ghana English, right? Yes. And the smoke. Yes, you've been feeling it in your homes as residents.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And they've been complaining over the period till I even went to stay there, and they seem to be doing that. And I'm using this platform, this august platform, to report them to the powers that be. Other than that, they will probably take their own problems into their own hands. Now, I think that it is a mixture of all things as far as this particular vetting is concerned. I've listened to the legal representative. I've forgotten his name. He makes some instructive points and ideas. I like that. In the past, you will see that when the NPP took over, the NDC were quite scrutinous in terms of the questions that they ought to ask the nominees of the president. And you are seeing a similar trend here. I have sat down to ask myself, why wouldn't you want to test the depth and knowledge of the president's nominee, though you belong to the same fraternity? Sometimes it is just a leading question that will lead the person to say A, B, C, and D. That's why I said that you will have to sit down to understand the various angles. Of course, the NPP or the minority in the vetting committee will want to unsettle and score political points. You can't take that away from them. That is the more reason why the president in his own wisdom will have to choose people who are really, in terms of who are cut out for this particular job and will be on top of their brief. Now, it is true that you need someone with a legal background, because the constitution to be the Attorney General, someone with a finance, economic, whatever background to be the finance minister. The rest, general knowledge. Of course, you need to show some kind of knowledge in the area you are going into, not expertise knowledge, but to know at least you have to get some data, because other than that, somebody will easily disgrace you or put you on the deck, that will unsettle you. And so that is where sometimes you will see the chairman over the period coming to the aid of the nominee here and there. It does not in any way suggest that even if you are going to the interior, you don't need to know that Boko is on fire. You need to know that chieftaincy, conflict is a huge problem on our hands. You can make mention of some that have led to this, have led to that, and for which reason you may want to provide solutions to. The idea of covering for some others, I think that I don't share in that. On a particular platform, people are suggesting that, look, the minority, they are bullying. Well, I think that anybody who has been nominated by the president to represent the president in that particular ministry should be worthy of that particular position. It shouldn't be because probably somebody provided, contributed ABC and D somewhere in the background. That's the more reason the person is on it. No. When we were doing that, nobody was there. The president has chosen you. He knows your mettle, and that's the more reason why he's sending you to that particular place. So if the minority are bullying you, you have every reason to defend yourself and to show to them that you are worthy of that particular position. I don't agree with the view that, you know, they are being so to speak, like they are unsettling some of these nominees. They will have to do so because they will want to prove to Ghanaians that you are not worthy of that particular position. Two, apart from that, they will also want to score some political points so that in the future, why not, they can latch on that for their own politics or for their own political gains. Don't forget that they have still not healed. They have still not healed from that gargantuan loss that they suffered in the 2024 elections.
I don't understand.
Therefore, they have not healed.
What has the loss got to do with their disposition that they are displaying before the appointments committee? Dr. Asante-Okyere.
Yeah, Roland. So the point is that when you see a type of question being asked, like what, is it Ahmed or something asked the defense minister, that you have described a state institution, you know, as being biased, criminal, and those things. Now, those types of questions are supposed to elicit a certain response. You see, so if you are not on top of your game, obviously you will flip-flop, and you may not be in a position to say, to stand on those things that you said. Now, if you're not able to stick to that, then it means that you just did politics. It indicts your integrity one way or the other, right? And it exonerates the MPP or the minority of a sort that you just use propaganda against them. That is what they are looking for. So there is no way. For example, I said, for example, that if not for the defense minister nominee, who watched and marked the EC boot for boot, all these errors wouldn't have come out for them to be ironed out. And probably our elections would have seen a different turn altogether. You see the point? And so there is no way they will not ask him certain questions that will tend to unsettle him. But as experienced as they, so far so good, as experienced as they are able to turn the corner and respond to some of these questions that, in effect, may have gone against them. And so I think that in all of the discussions that have gone on, from both the questioners and those who are responding, I think by far it is good. But there is something else that Mr. Afenyomarkin said. I think so far Mr. Afenyomarkin is equally on top of his job in terms of the vetting. He takes his time to ask questions, and he's just probing. He's probing the issues so that you will have to prove yourself. Now, with respect to what is to happen today, this morning, where Mr. What's the name of
Oliver Bakavomawo.
Oliver, yes. You see, what Mr. Afenyomarkin said after the chairman had spoken is something that the chairman and the majority will have to take seriously. You see, he virtually suggested that Mr. Oliver is a member, he belongs to the NDC fraternity, and that probably he knows why they have been taking money from the nominees. In a way, exculpating the minority or the MPP from that bribery so-called allegation. And I think that I was expecting the majority to take a second view at that particular, because the person is here to come. Why are you insinuating that it is certainly the majority that have gone to take bribe? And such indictment of the integrity of the majority is something that they will have to respond vehemently. Because look.
But do you think if there was any bribe that will be issued or given out, and it's only the majority that will benefit, they would have given it to them in caucus, right? Not come to the committee level and then do the distribution. I mean, if not that, then everybody else is taking it. I'm only asking you in reaction to what you said.
Well, as you rightly pointed out, no bribery, and Solomon equally alluded to that. No bribery is given in open.
Okay.
And if it is something that is supposed to be to benefit both sides, then obviously everybody, it will be something that is regularized in terms of parliamentary parties, but everybody to take share of that.
Okay.
The minority leader himself suggested that the quota or whatever they were given on the defense, they said they also equally gave some to the minority, and to the point that the minority even had more slots. Then the minority then even had more slots than the majority, as far as Mr. Kennedy Japan is concerned, and as far as the minority leader is concerned. So if it is a regular parliamentary parties, then all of them will benefit from that.
Okay.
But an allegation of bribery, right, is something criminal, and therefore it's something different altogether. It is not a kind of motivation that is regularized through parliamentary parties. And for that, the investigation ought to be done. And let me add that if Mr. Oliver is not able to prove this allegation and dilly-dallies about it, I think that all respectable platforms in this country, yourself, the Joyce, and all those, I think they shouldn't give him any attention. They shouldn't give him any opportunity again on such platforms, because I think that he will just be an attention seeker. He ought, as brilliant as he is, you need to be responsible in the kinds of things that you see.
All right, he hasn't appeared before the committee, so no preempting here. But looking at the way things are going, you seem to be satisfied. Your base say the chair is just giving too much room for a lot of unnecessary questions, heckling, etc. And so it means that he's not asserting himself.
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, people have their right to have a perception about how things are going based on precedents. You understand the point? But like I rightfully told you, this is a Fenyon and a minority who have nothing to lose. Definitely want to push the nominees to the wall so that they will react and they will score political points. I certainly think that the chairman of the committee is acting with so much intelligence and patience and tolerance to make sure that the nominees are approved. And you see, of course, I agree with the base if they have disagreement, but you see, some of the questions have been very important. For example, Dr. Omane is going to helm the affairs of the Defense Ministry. That is the country's bulwark, our only defense. So questions like how he makes money, how he is able to afford daily bread is extremely important.
Why?
Because this is a man who is going to helm our defense ministry. He's going to be in charge of military. He can be influenced, and the country will be under attack. And so, of course, we may have our disagreements with some of the questions, but some of them are really important. And like my senior counsel rightfully said, many of them are unnecessary, and we think that we should have gone into the past records of some of them, what they want to do, what they have done and what they want to do, but their temperament, the ability to think on their feet, because you may have several situations where ministers and the people they work with may have to think within split seconds to take decisions for the country. You understand the point I'm making? So, well, of course, I agree with people if they think that they have been a little bit chaotic and people jump in, ask questions without the approval of the
sometimes
chairman.
signs of obvious off the cuff, disrespectful remarks.
Of course, there's no doubt about it. You understand the point? There's no doubt. But I think that going forward, we must also agree that this is a man who is now chairing the appointment committee. He may have difficulties and all that, but I think that now
you mean because he's the first timer, so we should allow.
Of course, and you see now it is even better than initially when he started. So gradually we are going to get. I'm encouraging the base.
The ministers are only 60. Time no day.
Oh, hold on.
How many people have been approved?
Hold on. At the end of the day, the nominees have been approved. The nominees have been approved. His
So that's what's
Excellency the President
important,
is in
not
a hurry.
the proceedings.
Of course.
Dr. Samia, is that what you're saying?
No.
The proceedings are not important,
No,
Dr. Samia.
the proceedings are extremely important. But the point I'm making is that the nominees themselves have demonstrated enough capacity, in my view. You understand? Even though people may have difficulties with the line of questionings and how relevant the questions are, of course, some of them are relevant, some of them may not be relevant. But at the end of the day, they are showing enough merit. You understand why they should be given the opportunity to helm the affairs of this ministry.
Very interesting remark coming from Dr. Samia. Very interesting. But let's do a recall. Joe was here with that incident with Suhuyini, and there'd be a number of repeated incidents in the last parliament within the period where the appointments committee chaired by Joe Osei-Owusu, who, for no holds barred, had always been a very firm person, and I thought that should be the yardstick, really, in this appointment committee's sittings. I think Joe Osei-Owusu's supervision, chairing of proceedings, fantastic. So, some recall.
Or else I'll go past you and call other people. Mr. Chairman, I think that I have to make it clear that I am not happy with the way that I am treated on this committee. Mr. Chairman, I want it on record that I never impugned ill motives to the nominee. I simply referred to scandals and sought to find out how he left the bank, so we assure ourselves that he had no role in those scandals, because a vice president was held responsible and he also left as vice president. I never impugned ill motive, I never accused him, and I would like that to be on record that I am not happy about the way you have treated me on this committee.
Honorable Suhuyini, you're not ready to ask the question, I'll move on
to my next question.
No, I've ruled you out. I'm asking another person to.
What kind of rudeness is this?
Honorable Cabo.
Don't you think that before the chair of the committee, the distinguished legal practitioner, member of parliament for Akachi South, Bernard Ayanfo, should play this video before he goes to, so that he knows that immediate chair of the appointment committee in the last parliament, this is how the procedure. I think this should be a yardstick. What do you think,
I do believe
lawyer?
I do believe as well, because he would have had the benefit of previous people, even from Doa Jaho to Joe Wise. He should have resorted to probably those videos, or probably speak to them personally to sort of get personal experiences, personal opinions as to how he would go about it. But like Doctor said, as a learning process for him, as a care for him, let's see how it goes. But I just want to add a point to what Solomon said initially, because I also have issue about people trooping in as entourage of the nominees and all that, because you remember that during INS vetting, people were clapping. The chairman had to tell people that we don't clap here. I thought it was quite a disruption. So if at least they could limit the numbers, we are not saying that people should not be given support when they enter the vetting chamber, but the numbers are too many. If at least it could be limited to, let's say, 5 persons, the rest could watch on TV, TV3 at home. I mean, so for me, my other concern, there are too many numbers entering in for reason of supporting them or sort of giving them backing and all that. I don't think it's necessary. So I think going forward, we should look at that. Limit the numbers that go with the nominees.
Well, the issue about the bribery allegations and all, it's not the first time. You remember when Honorable Jakun was being approved energy minister, there was even, we're told, a businessman tried to Apia Kubi, the former member of parliament, Santia James South,
during the finance minister.
And there'd be a number of repeated.
Even I got this morning, yesterday said that a businessman also tried bribing the members of the appointment committee. But just that, I have a bit of issues with Oliver's statement. It's a bit malicious. I mean, when you say something with such force about members of parliament, of course, we need to have some level of reputation for institutions of state, and parliament is very high up there when it comes to institution of state. So you should have probably concrete evidence to make such malicious statements, because to say that members take money before they go through the vetting process is quite malicious, and I'm happy Parliament has taken steps to invite him. Let's see what he has. Well, probably he'll come and show us evidence, but if he's unable to do that, I think Parliament should probably take some strong steps against him. That's my personal opinion, because it's a bit malicious.
What would you expect going forward? Looking at what has transpired so far, you've not been happy, especially the 6 minutes given to Linda.
So sad, but I believe that the committee will come back to agree with this when she begins to work as a minister. You see, allowing them to go off.
I don't understand. You say she doesn't have the capacity?
Well, for now, I don't have anything to stand on as whether or not she has the capacity or not, because no question was asked there. And then, so I'm left in a limbo. I will only watch, but posterity will be the best judge. Oliver, you see, members of parliament, they must not be picking and choosing.
I don't understand.
We were in this country after 2021 when some of us petitioned parliament that a nominee like Ken Oforiatta must not be given the nod.
Were you part of the petition?
I
as a member of the MPP?
So proud.
Solomon also, you did that?
I did that, so proud. And my daughters were so happy that I took part. And I've been vindicated. Kwaku Rekit, now he is the deputy majority leader. Is that not the case? In this studio, your own station, he came here with our fellow council and told the world that members from the NDC, members of parliament from the NDC had actually gone to take bribes.
Oh, how?
Play it back. This morning, you are found of playing this back. Play it back here.
No, what do you mean by what he said?
Why did the parliament then not invite him to come and substantiate that allegation?
What do you mean by he said they took back? What do you mean by that?
Because they had approved certain ministers that he felt was not right, and that according to him, his own leader told him that the NPP side had told the leader, they had money to bribe some of their members, and that's
what do you mean by bribe? What do you mean?
Giving money is money. Ghana bribe is money.
Do you term that as bribe?
What are we doing?
Did he say that they give money? Because I'm not privy to it.
No, he said that. He said that. I mean, you have the tape.
Did he say bribe?
Yeah, he said bribe. I listened to him. He said bribe. He didn't mince words. And I like people like that. Ricky Hagen. I like people who are so frank. It was on the same vein that Anita Disoso said she was cursing all the NDC members of parliament that took bribe. It's also there. So the committee, the vetting committee must be asking themselves, why is it that people keep accusing them of taking bribes? It's not for nothing.
You're saying that what is happening now is not only of today.
No. Ayariga did it against Bwache Jaku. In fact, in Ayariga's case, he mentioned Muntaka's name. That Muntaka was the one that was spearheading the money sharing to induce the minority. You get my point? In Ricky's situation, he said the minority. So it is not a novelty, my brother. It is not a novelty. But you see,
are you saying that is considered to be bribe? I don't understand. Maybe it's transport.
We are not selling cocoa or selling any product there. You are only there to interview people and then pass or reject them.
Be inquisitorial, ask them probing questions. Okay.
So there is no point. But you see, we must take what Oliver said very serious.
Why?
The jury is out there, the verdict is out there. Majority of people, I know they're living with us. He may not, and I'm not in his position, I'm waiting for him to speak today. But this has turned out people want to demonize Vomo. Will not be countenance. Allow him to come and then give his side of the story.
Why not?
You see, the chairman of the committee, this is why I had a problem with him, emphatically stating that I, Bernard Ahiafo, had never taken any money, and none of my committee members. How can you vouch for all the committee members?
Because he's the chair of the...
How do you know that someone went to someone's house to see him or her and gave money to her?
But how can one person be able to influence everyone?
Hey!
It's a question. I said, how can?
It takes one gannot, a bad one, to, as it were, spoil the rest. You get my point? So, don't let us throw away what Oliver has said. In any case, there were subsequent questions that Ahiafo was asked that I thought was needless. That at the end of the vetting, he will ask, dear nominee, have I, as Bernard Ahiafo, ever called you? Have I ever taken money from you? It was needless. You have said you are clean. You don't need to ask these questions. Let the man that made those allegations come there and put these questions to him and let him answer. And all of us will be in this country. Maybe they were saying that if Vomawo comes and is unable to substantiate these allegations, they will invoke Article 103. They did not say what should happen to them if Vomawo was able to prove this allegation. So assuming Vomawo goes there this morning and proves the allegation, are they going to relinquish their seats? They must also know what should happen to them. It cannot just be one-sided. We are living in a cold country. That's the reality. So, but sometimes those that should come and then testify, when it gets to the crunch, then they cringe. But we will live to see. This is a country of ours, and we will follow it.
With evidence too. If you want to, he who comes to equity, they say you have to come with clean hands. But at the end of the day, Jonathan Satiochiri, while you comment, what do you want to see going forward? Doc, what do you want to see going forward at the committee? Jonathan Satiochiri, while you
Pardon me?
What do you want to see going forward at the committee, just in 3 minutes? Because we want to discuss Dr. Opuni's case quickly. We know that the Attorney General says so.
Well, I think that what I see is that people will want the chairman to toe the line of the previous, chairman, Joe Wise, for that matter. I disagree with that. He may have his style. He's in a position to tolerate the excesses of the minority. That is his style. If Joe Wise's standard was not a good one, you don't expect the current chairman to also toe the same line. Of course, you must equally read in between the lines to prove that, look, this direction you are going is not the way to go. Then you can also ensure that that particular style is curtailed. That is another way of he also asserting his position and authority, on the committee, so to speak. I think people should not be too worried that nominees of president will be ramshackled, whichever way you look at it. They are worthy of the positions that the president has nominated them. And I think they will be in a position to defend themselves. If somebody has done something untoward, you can look into the past, bring those issues out, and let them discuss that as part of the vetting processes. That, for me, Ghana will be, the winner, and not somebody trying to cover or somebody trying to shame someone. I agree with you. If we are not lucky, Mr. Abrako's vetting could go even to the next day, because they will really want to have a lot of questions that he will have to answer. That being said, I think so far so good, and we just need to move on. There are certain things that are not necessary as far as the vetting processes are concerned. And I'm of the view that with Oliver Vomawo's pronouncement, either they would have decided to ignore him, or they really want to go a little deeper into that. It is good that they settled that particular issue, if you ask me, but you could easily have ignored an attention seeker. And that, for me, the vetting processes could still have gone on. If you are not lucky and people have been slated to be vetted today, this particular Vomawo issue will probably take the entire day and productivity would have been zero. And I don't think that is what we need to focus on as a nation.
Why the Attorney General? It's a case that has traveled. We're talking about the Dr. Opuni and others case. Yes, and of course, we know that there's businessman Seydou Agongo, a number of individuals as well.
Yes, I will first of all start by commending the Attorney General and his team for showing fidelity to the rule of law and curtailing what has been nothing but a state-facilitated treachery, a state-sponsored hatred and intimidation.
How is that?
A state-sponsored political persecution and destiny-killing agenda to destroy the hard-earned reputation of Dr. Puni and the businessman Saidu Agongo. Look, it is the worst form of persecution I have seen targeted at a politically exposed person and an indigenous businessman. It is very important. And this has been the modus operandi of the MPP setup since they came into power. It is no different from what they did to Dr. Atufosin. Look, what are the issues? The state tries Dr. Puni and businessman Saidu Agongo for causing financial loss to the state, in that they brought in substandard fertilizers and all that. But you know that the principle says that before a man is declared as guilty, he is otherwise innocent. Is that not it? When the trial was ongoing, and yesterday I spoke with some of the lawyers in that case, the defense brought on exculpatory evidence. What it means that they brought on evidence that will otherwise prove the innocence of the businessman and Dr. Puni. Evidence which the prosecution did not object to. But the trial judge, Justice Onyenuga, struck out all these exculpatory evidence. You understand the point I'm making? On that basis, the council actually petitioned the Supreme Court to quash the decision of the trial judge and to also prohibit Justice Onyenuga from hearing the case on the basis of bias, because you cannot strike out exculpatory evidence which the prosecution themselves have not objected to. You understand? So there was a 3-2 majority decision in favor of defense, only for Godfrey Dami to go to court to allow the Chief Justice to review the case and allow Justice Onyenuga to go. Now Justice Onyenuga goes on pension and is given another 6 months to continue the matter. He fails to finish. A new judge comes. The judge says that on the basis of fairness, I am starting the case de novo. Before the judge could blink an eye, he had been thrown away. He had been transferred from that case to another place. Meanwhile, when allegations of bias was made by Kenneth Japon in his contempt case, that judge was removed and transferred. You understand the point I'm making? So, on every, irrespective of how you analyze the matter, this was a political persecution. All the allegations they made were frivolous and trumped up. Like what they did to Dr. Atufosin. A whole attorney general had the cause to call a witness to force him to go and get a medical excuse DT, not to come to court. It was the same thing they did in the Saidu Agongo Opuni matter. For 8 years, not a single evidence was made against Dr. Opuni and Saidu Agongo. You understand the point I'm making? Based on what the judge did, how can you strike out evidence which defense has made and the prosecution does not object to?
Well, lawyers will say that such issues are procedural. And
but
please conclude for me. Conclude.
But the point is that prosecution did not object. Means that it is. But you cannot do that capriciously. It must not be exercised capriciously. And so, on a daily basis, that has been the modus operandi of the MPP. So, I am happy today that the Attorney General and his team has withdrawn the case and has shown the people of Ghana that what happened in the last... And you see, it can happen to you, it can happen to me. This is Dr. Puni, a whole CEO of Cocoa Board. What about me, who has no position? The ordinary man walking on the street, if you can be targeted politically like the way Dr. Puni and Saidu Agongo had been targeted. In fact, Heritage Bank, which is owned by Saidu Agongo, was called out because they said he has a case in court. Meanwhile, the case had not been pronounced that he's guilty. And so this whole agenda was an agenda targeted at the man to destroy the NDC government at the time, to put the government in bad light, and to destroy the hard-earned reputation of the businessman and Dr. Penny. So today I'm happy, and the people of Ghana are happy that at long last, Lawyer Adami, the Attorney General, former Attorney General, had been disgraced, like the way he was disgraced in the Ato Force matter.
But this is a case that the state took up, so certainly it has to be the Republic against them. Because some of the charges, you look at some of those charges, defrauding by false pretenses, willfully causing financial losses, state money laundering, and then of course corruption of a public officer. We know that inherent in the there had been witnesses that have been called, whether from the CSIR, and then also people who technically had the professional knowledge to do certification, for example, of the item or the fertilizer samples, etc. But the fact that it's been long winding, in between procedurally, you'll find rulings not going against or in favor of the prosecution, led people then to come to the conclusion. And so people on social media and other mainstream platforms seem to be quite elated that this has come to an end. But law is law.
Yeah, definitely.
What in between have you read as a lawyer?
Yeah, definitely. Roland, I would probably go on the tangent of some legal education. The first thing people in our VS would have to understand is that the power to enter nolle prosequi is a legal instrument available for the use of any attorney general. It's been used so many years, it's been used several times. So this is not the first time an attorney general has sort of used that legal instrument available to him or her. What I would also say that we should use Opuni's case to sort of try to reassess our legal system, because we can't have a case traveling for over 5 years, 8 years. I mean, because if you look at the incidents of the case, judges have been changed, judges have gone on retirement. So all these ought to be considered in the appointment of judges to sit on cases. So for instance, if you take His Lordship Onyenuga, for instance, I mean, at least at the time of his appointment, the appointing authority was aware of his number of years left for him to go on retirement. Why would you put such a person on such a case? So it should bring to the fore the need to sort of look at all these things in a justice delivery process, because to the ordinary person on the streets, now, if I go to court and I'm able to delay the case for a number of years and there's change in government, I could have my freedom. That is the message that is being sent out there, because it traveled for 8 years waiting for a change in government. And it has so happened that there's a change in government and he's been released. Though, like I initially said, it's a legal instrument that is available to all attorney generals. It's been used several times. The ordinary person on the street would have that impression that once I have a case in court, I delay, when there's a change of government, maybe I may be saved. So that is where our legal system has to come in, need for reforms. Let's at least have some limits where cases shouldn't travel, because you can't have a case traveling in a court for 8 years, there's a change in government. So now it is one attorney general against the other, because the law requires that it is attorney general who has the power under Article 88 to institute proceedings. So one attorney general says that I find wisdom in prosecuting him, the other person says no. So then it becomes like, okay, let me wait for my political party. Let me stretch this legal process until my political party comes. And that is a bad precedent for us as a nation. We need to really set some precedents as to how these cases could travel. And that is what...
I don't understand. The defense, rather, that we're not in power, so to speak. But they all took legal practitioners who necessarily were not in power.
No, that is why I said it has taken a judge to go on retirement, another person to be appointed. So that's
why I asked you the specific question.
Yes.
That you look at the length that the case traveled, and then the rulings that had been made in between, the other matters, whether in the public space, that seem to engender public commentary in relation to some of those, whether it's Justice Onyenuga, achieve, the president goes to meet him. This, there are too many stories and drama around this that does not feed into the public opinion for somebody to say it's right or not right.
That is why I started by saying it should be a sort of an avenue for the whole justice delivery system to be looked at again. Because, for instance, if you take the appointment of Onyenuga, at least the appointing authority knew his age at the time of his appointment to sit on the case. And so now he goes on retirement, another person would have to come in. So that is what I'm saying. It should be a holistic view of our justice delivery system, because it doesn't send good signals out there. Because now the narrative outside is that if I have a case and I'm able to delay it and my government comes, I may be free. And that is what has happened.
Who rather is delaying the case?
Because there are so many processes that could be used in this circumstance. It could be from the prosecution, it could be from defense counsel and all that. So I am saying that this is the time for our justice delivery system to take a second look at how we go about prosecution. Because I will tell you, to be very honest with you, I don't think that this case should have traveled the way it has for 8 years. Because what was the issue? The issue had to do with the judge himself. And that was avoidable. That was avoidable because he had even come in as an additional judge to sit because he was way up there. So that could have been avoided because we had probably a younger judge who was a substantive high court judge who could have sat on the matter all through till probably the case is dealt with before he goes on retirement. So all these things should be taken into consideration in our justice delivery system, because the truth is that the narrative and the perception out there may be different from what we lawyers do understand. And we can't blame anybody for putting in a spin, political spin on such cases, and we could avoid that as a nation.
Oh, you take a look at, whilst you make a commentary on this, yes. A businessman, he goes to bring in products, I mean, just in plain, simple language, all of a sudden, for 8 years, his business comes to a halt, his money is locked up, his bank is collapsed at the end of the day, and on the back of this, I don't know. You're a businessman yourself, that's why. Additionally.
It's a sad situation. And let me tell you an interesting experience I had with Seydou Agogo. As a matter of fact...
He's your friend?
Oh, he doesn't know me personally.
One acquaintance?
Yes, I was going for a facility from his Heritage Bank. Everything had been approved. Offer letter has been issued. I was driving on the 37 road only to be told that his license had been...
You mean an MPP member you were going for, or you were just a businessman?
Me, I go to every home. I don't Muhammad scam. For me, I'm going to the Jubilee. Am I not again? Even Nigerians have been given... We're giving contracts, what's the name? Frontiers, to come and take our money to Nigeria. Me, Ghana, I wouldn't go. I'm going. So it affected my business. And if the target was on Seydou Agogo, that he was an NDC person, then whoever took that decision could be described as a nation wrecker. And I also disagree with Ben when he says that people deliberately delay cases. It has been proven under the last administration that even cases in situations where rates were filed at 12 o'clock, judges sat the same day. So they have the capacity to adjudicate fast. You know the minority-majority issue. The way and manner they dealt with it expeditiously. So that cannot be purely political persecution. They persecuted the people. And it must never be entertained. I have always been seeking interpretation to Article 882. You are a lawyer, you help me. He said what? The Attorney General shall discharge such other duties of a legal nature as may be referred or assigned to him by the President. I have an issue with this. Was it the case that in Okpuni and Agongo's persecution, this was specifically assigned to the Attorney General by the President to persecute them?
Read that again.
The Attorney
882. 1992 Constitution.
Yes, the Attorney General shall discharge such other duties, such other malicious duties of a legal nature as may be referred or assigned to him by the President. Here specifically, it is mentioned that the President would assign. And I'm saying, was it the case that the President disliked Okpuni and Agongo so much so that he needed to go after them personally and also their businesses? By revoking the license of the Heritage Bank, so many Ghanaians that the NPP administration led by Nana Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had promised giving them jobs, he denied them employment opportunities. And it is part of the 38.2% that he had. People remembered this. People remembered this. So we cannot glorify such situations. I believe the Attorney General, the current Attorney General, has done a human job. But I want to remember him or remind him that there is a certain gentleman called Gregory Afoku. Gregory Afoko
Is it the brother of the former chair of...
The only reason why that guy is behind bars is that his brother was the former chairman of the NPP. Quote me anywhere. How can we be so wicked in this country like that? If the same rod or measure is going to be turned on the former administration, would they survive it? Would they survive? Look, what pains me in the case of Gregory Afoko, in the case of Opuni, and said is that it traveled through the hands of two attorney generals. You remember that? It started with Gloria Akufu, Sophia Akufu, or Gloria. Gloria was the attorney general. Then Dabi came. As for Dabi, I don't blame him. God, for the first time in our history, we had an attorney general who was negotiating at the Bastille for someone to be incarcerated. So sad. So sad. So you see, we must stop this. You have denied Ghanaians in this country, and that is one area that the media houses must begin to enter, helping Ghanaian businesses to grow. We destroy our own. With all the vim and vigor in us, with every arsenal we have, this man does not belong to a political party, but there is no food that is written on it, NDC or MPP food. We all go to the same market. You have to destroy Sedwa Agongo. I'm not happy with this, and I believe that the attorney, after all, the NPP started this case. You couldn't prosecute us, so how do you expect the new attorney general to prosecute? If you had a good case, you could have prosecuted him on time and then make a determination. You couldn't.
So you disagree with Lawyer Ben that...
No, it doesn't get that, Ben. I mean, it was deliberate. They knew right from day one that they didn't have anything against Opuni and Agongo. It was just political persecution. The point is that they believed there was some money with them. Look, they were accused of willful causing financial loss to the tune of 271 million cedis. That's not the case. Hey, someone cooked in this country with $15 million. That former Minister of Youth and Sports. Convert $15 million that we used to cook or prepare wachi to Ghana City today. Accreditation alone, $4.6 million. SML, go and collect taxes for us as a country. We paid $1 billion Ghana City. Hey, then people must be in court. So it is nothing. It was nothing short of persecution. And that is how we have been doing our politics. You don't like me. You don't share my views. So let me prosecute you. I hope and pray that John Mahama does not follow this diabolic, evil-minded deeds. You see, Proverbs 19:21 says something that I always quote. It says, there are so many things in the heart of a man, but in all this, it is the counsel of the Lord that shall stand. Opuni's counsel stood. The Lord of Opuni stood. They were going to jail him, let me tell you, together with Seydou Agongo. But they couldn't, because the judge would go to bed, something would speak to him.
Which thing?
The one that created this universe. And we are saying, you see how they have been disgraced? It's part of the disgrace. That was how come they had 32 points. Is it 38 or 2? 38. Now they are saying 41. If they continue, and these things will haunt them till they come out and confess their sins to the people of this country. I end my submission.
Dr. Jonathan Santiotri, what do you say to that? You follow this case, 8 years in the running. We all know the reports. Some of us have even sat in court for some of the proceedings, so to speak. And sometimes you come back and you wonder. At the end of the day, of course, filing a nolle prosequi is what an attorney general has in his bosom by way of the some of the tools that he can't use, and that has been used. But you say that the word on the streets is the perception it creates. And it's not good for our political dispensation, but on the other side also for the development of Ghana's economy. Is that not it?
Roland, this particular issue, you need to look at it from a tactical and technical perspective. You see, Mr. Godfrey Dami, I think that one of these days he should have his day in court, because he's someone that, for example, I've always asked myself, when attorney generals take the ordinary citizen to court in a very malicious way, what punitive measures does he stand to suffer, either today or tomorrow? It is something that I believe we may have to have a real look at that. Secondly, what stopped Mr. Odame from filing for nollie prosecutor? Probably the state will have to incur some cost. I think that what the current Attorney General has done is twofold. One, people may think that, well, it is because their so-called party has come to power, that is why they've been acquitted, or he has dropped the charges. The most important aspect of it is the fact that, look, if I were him, probably I would have allowed the case to go to its limit. But that would mean that definitely the state is going to lose the case, because from all intent and purposes, the state was bound to lose that case. And once the state loses that case, the state is going to incur cost. So why wouldn't the Attorney General find a way of dropping this case? Probably whether they're going to compensate them or not, it will not be as huge as when the state would have lost the case anyway. And so I look at it from a tactical perspective, from the side of the Attorney General. And I think that it was a smart move on the part of the state. And then obviously the state wouldn't have lost that much. But you see, this thing, this malicious way of persecuting people just because you find yourself in power, will have to stop somewhere. And judges too, I don't know whether they are roped into some of these malicious intent of attorney generals or whether they tend to get compromised along the way. If the case is nothing to write home about, why can't we easily rule and throw the case away? Take, for example, the LGTB, whatever. The Supreme Court knew very well that this particular issue had not been assented to. The bill had not been assented to yet by the president. Yet, they sat down, looked at the issue until after the elections were over to come and tell us that this is the case. So when you do that, you are virtually indicting your integrity. You are virtually making people think that you have been compromised. You are virtually making people have different perceptions that are bad about you. If it is A, why don't you say it is A? If it is B, we have to go ahead and say it is B. Sometimes you can understand the politics in there. That obviously encourage these kinds of dilly-dallying. But I mean, if you look at Dr. Atuforsen's case, the very moment those cases were leveled against, those charges were leveled against him, I said that obviously this man has been one step ahead of the ruling government. Every now and then he's unsettling them in the economy. With the issue of IMF, you have to go to the IMF. They say no. People are going to receive haircut. They say no. The president comes to speak to all of us that the state of the nation, that we are not going to give anybody a haircut. And yet all of these things come to pass. So why can't you find a way of cowering such a person? And that is exactly what they did. And so for me, how is it difficult that if somebody has sent or imported a substandard fertilizer, how difficult is that? How difficult is that to ascertain, the authenticity, of that particular, fertilizer, and then rule accordingly? You could see that it was merely a matter of persecution, a political vendetta for that matter. And these things don't really help us in our democracy.
Great exposition. We're grateful. Dr. Jonathan Santiotri, political analyst, lectures with the distinguished University of Cape Coast, and thank you. We wish you all the best. Again, you said Wesley Girls High School. We're here, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Too much.
Area no way. School in China.
The school is just when you.
That would be Aswetri, right? Aswetri.
Aswetri, yes. Going to that, yes. Yes, Aswetri.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just around Pacific. If you pass by MTN office, Wesley Girls is just on your right. And the buildings in between, in that area, we see a bad directly into the.
So the residents.
Yes.
The residents.
And they've been complaining about that. I think that a state institution, for that matter, a grade A school, they must find a better way of why shouldn't they?
I'm afraid Zoom line for no more. They know how to say it. Doctor, my chance kakra na oka grade A school niya. Oba ko hwa nsanka problem bi ani ho. Dr. Jonathan Santiotri.
Thank you, my brother.
And thank you, gentlemen, as well. I've enjoyed the conversation. Yes. I hope that you'll find time, lawyer, as you're back in town for some time to be joining us once in a while. Shadra, take notice so that he's one of the most expedient and
Greek NDC communicator.
It's an NDC communicator.
You are sharing the appointment like biscuit. Kwaku Usu Banahini fought for you. Kwaku.
Hey, you people. Anyway, so let me let me just read a couple of comments, and then you wanted to say something. You've had your time. Mr. Backman, good morning to you, Anchor. He said the vetting of the Greater Accra Regional Minister designate was a day of shame. He puts it. How can a nominee be excited for not being questioned on the job? It also makes no sense that the ranking member could ask unlimited questions while nominees bring large entourage. Parliament must reform these flawed processes. The research agenda has to be holistic. And you added, I didn't read your message yesterday. Well, I just read it. Kojo Chumboafo, good morning to you, Kojo Chumbo. It says, in Wusie, just like, I don't don't press the fusion. We'll see. Well, we'll see how that goes. Good morning to you, Engineer Chumbrafo. I wish you all the best for the day. And then Mr. Tebi says there's feedback of voices coming through the studio when the man on this. So I think because he's been listening. Roland Tebi, I hope you're well. Good morning. Are you back in time? If you're not, let me know. I have a couple more messages. Let me just also. This one is coming from Chief Mante. It says Solomon is actually speaking sense. I just seem to enjoy him, Chief Mante, up in Akosombo. Hey, Sampi Yale says, I always like to listen to this man, Solomon Owusu. His street type and straight to the point way of communication is fantastic, to the ground level, not too technical, and everybody understands. God bless you, Solo. Hey, Solo, you've become friends with people, pal. And then also Kwesi Mansa, who is watching us from the United States of America, from the state of New York, says that, good morning, what happened and Ablakwa withdrew from the appointment committee about 4 years ago? Is it the same? Hey! Oliver Bakavamo. Legal practitioner Leonard Sedjo said the Attorney General did not internally prosecute. He withdrew the charge, and seeing as the accused had opened their defense, it amounted to an acquittal and discharge. And Kwame Osei Boateng from Ishaiso says, we all know what happens at the appointments committee. Let us not play ostrich. In big parliamentary language, it's called giving transport to the committee members. It may not be bribe, but the fact that money is given as transport then raises the questions. At what point in time should the money be given? And how do we call in our local parlance, I want to shake your hand for helping me? And these are some of the things that we need to discuss. Dr. Kofa Segbefia says, watching and listening to the proceedings of the appointment committee, I wonder whether they are supposed to vet nominees or interrogate them, or vetting and interrogation mean the same thing. I hope the committee can explain this to us. And, well, I have this one coming from my home state of Ashaiman. Ogogos says, absolute patience is always a guise to cover up weaknesses while wallowing in the mantra of tolerance. What works always in society is iron sharpeneth iron. And in other words, soft or hard warfare, armor fights armor, artillery fights artillery. Apenyo and his minority have seized the initiative from the majority for now, and whoever has the initiative wins the battle. So minority is winning the verdict of public opinion in the appointment committee. Thank you, gentlemen. We have cash out to go to a short code *439#. You have to choose option 2, increase the number of tickets. When we're doing the draws, as you have increased the number of tickets, you get money credited into your mobile money account. It goes to a short code *439#. Now, Sidieng.
Lawyer Gideon. He said he's watching. He wants to say good morning to you.
Hey, Mr. Abuchi, how are you? Lawyer. All right. A lot of lawyers commenting this morning.
Gideon Abuchi.
Yeah, Gideon. Was he your... Yeah, no. Wait. Junior.
I'm going to interview Zuzum right here in my house. Hey,
Look up there. Why are you using inferior pen?
It was a mistake. I check.
Acrobat2, I'm going to knock you out.
I know, sir.
You deserve quality.
Don't make mistakes. Stop.
You did the right thing.
When you are going to buy a paint, don't look left, don't look right. Go straight and grab the luxury acrylic paint. No be any painting be paint.
The luxury acrylic paint.
We have recorded tremendous success in ensuring that the vision of our founding fathers does indeed become a reality.
We welcome you to the next Africa Prosperity Dialogues and the Africa Prosperity Champions Awards, which take place in Accra, Ghana from the 30th of January to the 1st of February 2025.
I will work to foster the partnerships that transcends our borders, and I'll work collectively with you towards regional stability, economic growth, and mutual respect.
We see our role in enabling Africans to have a better future.
We indeed have what it takes. There is no dream which is too big or impossible.
On occasions like these, we give ourselves an excellent opportunity to showcase the difference we can make.
To register, visit Africa Prosperity.